You're banned. Sorry, you're banned. Too bald.
Well, thank you. Fine. Hello, everyone. Welcome to an almost banned edition of ARG Presents. I'm your previously banned buddy, Amigo Aaron, joined by a man that should be banned. I give you the BRENT.
It's true. I'm too good for the platform.
Well, and when you're too good for our platform, it really means something. Listen, everybody, you're probably wondering why the jerk jumped me right there. There's a reason why. Because this week we spun the wheel, we made the deal, and bam, it's banned. Video games been banned. They've been banned.
For stupid reasons.
For stupid reasons. That's when this guy comes into play. The little guy right there.
Why is Cletus pointing at me? I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, because you're the one that should be banned. So we spun the wheel, we made the deal. We're going to be talking about games that are banned for stupid reasons, the BRENT, and they're the stupidest of reasons. Now, you know, I looked into this a little bit to see what exactly would cause these various games to be banned and where. Because it doesn't seem like a bunch of stuff gets banned here in the States, but sometimes it does. What did you come across during your search for a game this week?
Well, let's take a step back.
All right.
First of all, you have some country in the world that will allow everything all the time.
Yeah.
That's actually a very rare quality.
Yeah.
Then you've got your next step down, and you say, listen, I'm going to either ban games for violence or of a sexual nature.
Oh, yes.
Or for a political view or standpoint.
Yeah.
And that's sort of your typical banning reasons. And then you got the stupid reasons.
Right.
And that's usually when a country just plucks a game sometimes out of just thin air and says, like, you know what, you're banned.
Yeah,
and you have to wonder if these type of games are politically motivated in some way.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're doing somebody a personal favor. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of games out there that are just banned for stupid reasons.
Yeah, just to go into a couple of reasons I found. I was like this, and someone seemed surprised because right now there's a Football Manager game on the screen. The reason stuff like that's banned, there's several of these that are banned in countries, is because they mention countries that other countries don't like.
Yes.
And so they don't want that. They don't want that country to be mentioned as a country, and you figure it out.
Yep.
You've also got the straight up hotness factor, nudity, like you mentioned, sexual nature. A couple of the big ones that I saw that were banned in some countries was the Guy game, which if you're watching the video, we're seeing a clip of that. You also got BM Triple X. Remember that stupid game? That was another one that got banned because it was dumb. Another one I saw banned in a bunch of places were those stupid Postal games. It's funny how you could get your dumb game over by putting in some crap to get it banned. Because Postal, there was a ton of those things. You know, and heck, it might still be going on. But that was another one I saw get banned for a lot. Those are really the big reasons. Now, there are some places, and we've talked about it before on the show, Germany, they were banning games left and right if they were like certain types of violence that they didn't like, they would ban them. So there's a ton of games banned in Germany. I didn't go for the low-hanging fruit, though.
No, I didn't either. You've also, in my opinion, if you ban a game because it's too violent, if that's your country's stance, I don't consider that a stupid reason. I think it's a stupid reason, but if that fits your country's culture, fine, whatever. Same thing with games of a sexual nature. If you have any nudity at all in your game, you're instantly banned. That's not the case in the United States. They actually let you get away with a lot. It's when you make these arbitrary banning rules. That's really what I feel like this category is all about.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. It's funny, though, just to look at the ban list. There was stuff on it that would surprise you. One of the things that surprised me was there were several countries where the Pokemon games
Pokemon Go. Yeah.
And not just Go, but any of the
all
Pokemon
of
games.
Yeah.
It's because they had religious issues with the whole Pokemon franchise. And also they thought it promoted, illegal acts. I saw that a couple of places, Pokemon Go. And Pokemon Go people think it's kind of subvertive because of the way it is if you look at Pokemon Go from the outside, it's like walk up to arbitrary spots and stand there and look intently at stuff. It's like, if you don't know what the game is, you would be like, what's going on here? This seems subvertive.
That's ridiculous.
You know, so I'm just saying, I can understand that. It's still dumb, but I can understand it. So we had quite a few game opportunities to choose from. So do you want to lead the dance this week, or would you like me to take the helm, Scotty?
Yeah, I'll go first. I haven't been first for a while.
Brent picked one that really surprised me, but I was happily surprised because I was so intimate with the game.
Yeah, I picked EverQuest, the original EverQuest, due to its banning in Brazil.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yes. EverQuest, for anyone who doesn't know, is a game that originally was released by Sony Online Entertainment back in 1999.
That long ago?
Yeah, that was the North American release. It released over in Europe in 2000. Of course, it had many spin-offs, many expansions. It's a massively multiplayer online game of the 3D variety.
Yeah.
And it was a big deal.
It was
big deal.
It was like the earliest, like the second wave of these games, right?
Yeah.
Right after like Ultimate Online.
Correct. And what EverQuest tried to do was really get that D&D feel. You had lots of classes you could choose from, lots of races you could choose from, and the world was actually balanced into good and evil. You had your evil races, evil in quotes, I'm sure they don't think they're evil, and good races, and it was the kind of game that was new. It was fresh. It isn't like it is today where you've got thousands of these things. I mean, literally thousands if you go looking hard enough. But it was something that was new and fresh, and it was a huge time sink. I know many people, because this came out when I was in college, and I know many people that would just not go to class. And it was 100% because they wanted to play EverQuest.
Or work, for example.
That's right. I played EverQuest. I didn't get on the very first release of EverQuest. It actually took me a couple months down the line. And then when I got into it heavy. It didn't destroy my life like I know it did for some people. But I played it a lot. Did you play it when it initially released?
Yeah, I did. I got in early. Keno server.
Yep.
Good to go. And we got in real early because a game like this, it's funny to describe a game like EverQuest now, but this was like a D&D VR nirvana. You were just like, oh my God. Because I'd seen like Ultimate Online. I was like, I don't like the interface here. I didn't have that same slant that Ultimate Online had. I wasn't the biggest Ultimate guy either, but this right here, I was like, man, I saw how you rolled up a character and how the inventory worked. Everything. I was like, man, this is the one. So I, much like COH, I was on EverQuest real early in the game. I've still got, in fact, you can't see it off camera. Right behind us is my EverQuest map hanging up to the cloth map.
Yeah, the cloth map that came with the original game. Yes. Another aspect of EverQuest outside of its addictive properties, because this was a game, this was a time commitment. The world, even in the very beginning, was huge. And it made itself feel even larger by, if you wanted to sail to a different continent or something, it was an actual real-time 30-minute boat ride. Yeah. You would have to wait for the boat to show up, get on the boat,
and lo be the man that falls off that boat.
Yeah.
Because you had to go recover your corpse, and that was a disaster. Or if you got attacked by sharks or something out there occasionally, that would happen. That sucked. Yeah.
So a lot of people, when they hear that a game like this got banned, most people think it's because of its addictive nature.
That is the number one reason why it should be banned.
Addictive nature. So when I first rolled into this, I thought, oh, here it comes. The video games are addictive, and anything can be addictive.
Yeah.
Brazil's going to drop the hammer. Addictive nature crap. No. No, that's not why they did it.
Okay.
All right. Brazil said that EverQuest was banned because you could take good quest or evil quest. And that having to make that decision was stressing the citizens of Brazil so much that it was affecting their health.
Really? The decision to be good or evil?
Yes. And this was made from a high court decision. This was the high court saying, listen, full country ban. Bam. You can no longer buy EverQuest in Brazil. They weren't banning the playing of it because, you can't police that.
Yeah.
But they were banning the sale of EverQuest throughout all of Brazil because choosing between good and evil, too hard for the public. Now, Aaron...
So it's not the choice of becoming evil, it's just the fact that there was a choice.
That's correct. The choice that you could do good or bad quest was too stressful for the Brazilian people.
All right.
Now, weird. Aaron, here's the problem with that, right?
Yeah.
All right. Problem number one. Like I said, EverQuest released North America 1999, Europe 2000. Right. So pretty much globally by 2000. Yeah, the ban started in 2007.
Okay.
And wasn't enforced until 2008.
So you could buy the game and play it for 7 or 8 years.
Well, I mean, once you had the game, they weren't stopping you from playing it. They were stopping you from selling it.
Right.
Well, here you've hit upon problem number 2 in this banning, Aaron.
Yeah.
EverQuest was never for sale in Brazil.
Okay.
So they banned a game that was never for sale almost 9 years after it was released.
Yeah.
And talk about what? What?
Did they have a reason for doing that? I mean, we know the reason because of the good and evil, but why would you ban a game that wasn't available in your country? No. This was, from what I could understand, and the research I did, this was 100% politically motivated. Why?
I don't know. Apparently, there was a setting judge that had a beef with the game, or his kid, no, it wasn't his kid. It was one of his friends' kids was playing video games too much, so he the friend went to the judge and said, hey, can you do something about this? And at the same time they banned EverQuest in 2007, enforced in 2008, they also banned CSGO, or Counter-Strike, sorry. Yeah. Which had also released in like 5 years prior to the ban. So, complete idiocy from beginning to end.
Could you log on to servers in Brazil?
Yes. I mean, if you, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And that wasn't technically illegal. Now, you know how software is, especially in other countries. Were there boxes of EverQuest on shelves being sold? Yeah. Okay. Yes, that stuff's going to happen. Imports or illegal copies, although illegal copies of EverQuest, it was very difficult. Maybe not by 2009, but so they did actively take copies of EverQuest off the shelves, but they were never supposed to be for sale there anyway, but that's not the reason why they got banned.
Very strange. Very odd, the brand. So, to this day, the ban's still in effect, then, is it?
I have read that the ban was lifted for everywhere except for one city.
Yeah.
But I cannot find that date. So I'm not 100% sure. I can't verify that it was ever unbanned. But it was, I did definitely see somewhere that said it was only banned in one city of Brazil now, not the entirety of Brazil. Or one, and not city, but whatever Brazil calls their things. Now, real quick, Aaron, because we're never going to be coming back this way again for EverQuest.
No, never.
I want to talk about the game as it is now versus as it was then.
Yeah.
You played EverQuest recently. What'd you think?
So I played EverQuest a ton back in the day. I was one of the people that was adversely affected by this game. I remember distinctly sitting in a tavern, the upstairs room over this where the trading area was in Freeport, just to watch the various auctions, the player auctions, so I could try to get a deal on a vest or shoes or some kind of stupid crap. I spent many hours doing this, by the way. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Now, in the modern EverQuest, which was what I was asking about, all that stuff's gone. Modern EverQuest is a completely different beast with the same style graphics.
Yeah, that's where I was heading, because the stuff that the even more archaic, like outdated stuff is, they did get rid of it. I mean, they've done a good job, an amazing job updating the game to sort of be far less ancient than it is. I mean, I'll give them credit. They've done there's a lot of like quality of life stuff in there. But you know, the game itself, which I don't enjoy it like I used to, because the play style in it isn't appealing to me like it used to be. Something else about it. Now, I will say that one of the fun things is to go through it, and this is something EverQuest 2 killed for me, is that I've been through all the areas of EverQuest so much that they're like areas I like to visit. I want to go through High Pass Hold. I want to go to Keno's Hills. I want to go to Blackborough and all these different places. And a lot of that stuff got changed. Or they got rid of all that in EverQuest 2 because it was a different time in Norath and also the Jive. That was a real bummer, because I wanted to see what those things looked like with better graphics and stuff. But even that appeal doesn't cut it for me in EQ, going back to play it now. I can't get into it. And when you've played modern MMOs, more modern, and I keep referring to COH, but everything in COH is 1,000 times better in terms of teaming up with people, getting around, the ability to do stuff, the ease of use. Like, they really hit the nail on the head. So it's when you've had caviar, it's hard to go back to having spam. You know what I mean? In my opinion.
Yeah, something I want to mention. Sony sold EverQuest to Daybreak Studios.
Yeah.
And they're the people who currently keep EverQuest up and running. To be fair, for a game that is now 24 years old. Okay?
Yeah.
EverQuest is amazing.
Yeah.
However, I do agree. I went back to EverQuest, and I took a character up to what was then the max level, which I believe is 90, and I had a lot of fun. It's something I played with a couple friends, and we would just, grinding out levels, doing certain things. The world now is so gargantuan, so many places to go, you'll never see it all.
Yeah.
But they also, when you have that much expansion, you have to also make the world smaller by making travel exponentially faster.
Yeah.
Now you can just pretty much appear where you want to appear.
Well, something else, I don't know why you ended up quitting the original, but for me, they released an expansion where they introduced those lizard people, the Kunark, I think what it was called. And I had built up a monk with the best stuff I could buy, and instantly all of his equipment was like second rate when the expansion came out, and it irritated me. And I was like, I don't need this. And that's when I left and never went back. And Brent's right. You can get around a lot better now that the worlds are huge, but there's also a lot of empty space. Like in the old game, you'd go in there and every part of the whole world was, except for the real rare areas, there was always people there. Now not so much. It's not so. It's as an MMO. It depends on how much it bothers you that there aren't any people around. Like we play COH, which is like 5 people in the whole server, so it's not that big a deal. But for this, it's just I feel like I'm out of touch, and it was a game that I lost touch with, and I really don't want to talk to anymore anyway.
You are out of touch, but that's okay.
Take off.
I appreciate what EverQuest was, and I appreciate what EverQuest is, and it's sad that our friends down in Brazil can no longer experience the fun of EverQuest.
Yeah, that is a bummer, but that's a weird one. That's a weird one, man. I took a different approach. Now mine still got banned, But there's this game I've been wanting to try, and it's one of those that sticks in the back of my head because I never played it. And I was always perplexed by it, if I'm honest. The name, I didn't understand what was going on with it. And so when I saw this game on some banned list, I was like, man, this is double trouble because I can use this game to play this particular subject to play the game. And so that's what I ended up doing. So the game I picked is a more modern game. Its full title is Marc Eckō's Getting Up, Contents Under Pressure, which that in itself I always thought was kind of amusing because the title is so long. So Marc Eckō, she almost called him Marc Gecko. Marc Eckō, published by Atari, if you can believe that. This is the zombie apocalypse of Atari that was well gone.
Yeah, that by name only.
Developed by The Collective, which ended up becoming Double Helix, and was released February 14th, 2006 for the original Xbox, the PS2, and Windows. I played the Windows version.
As did I.
And you can, by the way, this is now available on Steam, which I think you got it on Steam, didn't you?
Yes.
What'd you pay for this, if I may ask?
I backdoored my key.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I got a key for $9.
Backdoored your key?
Yeah.
I don't want to know what that means.
It's for sale right now for $15.
Yeah.
But it has been on sale for as cheap as $2.
Okay, there you go. So get this. I was like, who's behind this game? The executive producers this are Marc Eckō and Sean David Rosen. The story by Marc Eckō. The creative direction by Marc Eckō. This guy's a triple threat. So I was like, who the heck's this Marc Eckō guy? Because this guy had heard his name. I didn't know who he was. Do you know who he is?
No clue.
So
I'm guessing a graffiti artist.
Born Mark Louise Milkowski. So he made a good move there. He from my neck of the woods in New Jersey, and he's a fashion designer. His occupations are listed as fashion designer, artist, and entrepreneur. So he does three things. So this guy started a T-shirt line called Eckō Unlimited with some help from his family. Got the T-shirt, and apparently his shirts were got over with certain key people in the fashion industry. The two that are mentioned here are Spike Lee and Chuck D. And then I guess he also got featured on like Good Morning America, the Today Show, or something like that. And then it took off. And Eckō, if you were, and I guess they're still around. I didn't see anything that said they weren't. But the key thing about Eckō stuff, and I did see this back there, was they had a picture of a rhinoceros, on it. A lot of their stuff had a rhino picture on it.
All right.
And Eckō was spelled with like the cool guy style with this long mark over the O. You know, it's fashion, brother. You don't have to know. So anyway, Marc Eckō is a fashion designer, and so he also got into sort of like the hip hop and skateboard scene with his clothing. Like they got over with those people, and so you got to remember this era. A lot of video game studios were looking for something different, more in touch with the youth of the day, that sort of thing. And so this atmosphere birthed the Marc Eckō Getting Up, Contents Under Pressure. Again, I had no idea what this game even was when I picked it, so I was interested to see what it was. And what it is a game where you play a rogue tagger. You're basically a guy who goes around and tag stuff like spray paint artists, graffiti artists, right? Mm-hmm. And this is a game that explores the seedy underbelly, the society of graffiti artists. I wonder if this is a real society. I mean, I know there are famous graffiti artists.
Yes.
But one would wonder if there are gangs of graffiti artists. They pummel each other with graffiti art, like a stake of where you sign stuff. It's an interesting thought.
No, I mean yes. That 100% happens. Oh, it's not that there are graffiti artist gangs. There are gangs that use graffiti.
Yeah, okay. So you play a guy named Cole Train. His Train is his tag, Train, Trane. And you're in a city, it's all fictional, of New Radius, all right? New Radius is just like your typical like city with a lot of rage going on and protests and stuff. Train's only job, the way he feels like he just wants to get himself out there as a graffiti guy, right? And so one thing you learn early in this game is like self-promotion is the key thing for Train. This guy signs his name everywhere. That's something else I wonder about graffiti artists. Do they actually, they just go around and tag something like 50 times with their name just over and over? Because that's what you do in this game. So this game's actually sort of like several different games in one. What it really is a beat 'em up in a lot of ways. You roll around as Train and you're fighting a lot, lots of fighting. The fighting in it is 3D. It's open space fighting, right? But when you get into a fight, generally you're in an area where the fight takes place.
Arena.
It's not like you're running like across 50 streets beating each other.
No, it's arena style.
Yeah, and then what it reminded me of quite a bit, but not in the best way, was the similar sort of look to it that you would have gotten in Def Jam Fight for New York, including the impact of the moves, the animation of the characters, the guys you're fighting. You're fighting a lot of guys who are like, from the hood, they're hip hop guys, and so you've got a lot of that sort of element going on. Now I'll get into this in a minute, but some of this stuff I had to laugh at because it was so ludicrous. So anyway, so there's the fighting element of the game. Then there's an element of platforming to the game. This game is like if Def Jam Fight for New York had a very ugly child with Mirror's Edge. Yeah. Basically, where you're shimmying along stuff, you're pulling yourself up, maybe sort of like the more modern Prince of Persia's, where you do that stuff. Train is pretty agile. He can go up drain pipes. He can balance.
Oh, he's Spider-Man.
Yeah, he can shimmy across stuff and go up down ladders. so part of the coolness of being a tagger is that you have to go and tag places that are real hard to get to, right? Your guy sort of has like the spidey sense of graffiti, basically, that will tell you, okay, you need to go up here to get and so you've got to try to work your way up these weird spots. And then you go up there, and then the third part of the game is the tagging element itself. The tagging element, so I didn't know this. I wonder if this is real. So the graffiti artist, he has like a book that has all of his art in it, right? And so I guess this is how he remembers what to do, or make stencils. And so what he'll do is he takes the book, and when you go to a place, there are different levels of graffiti you can drop. You can just literally, like some of his graffiti, he's got these "Hello, my name is Train" stickers. He just slaps them on the wall. Bam. Yeah. That's just graffiti. And then sometimes he just takes and goes, "Train," and then just leaves. That's it. And then sometimes it's this big elaborate thing. The things you can't do are like make your own graffiti. That's out. You can't upload any pictures, any of that crap. You've got a certain amount of graffiti that you're going to learn. So as you go through the story, you realize I didn't get super far into it, but I got far enough to see what was going on. The first early parts of this game are figuring out how to play the game. It's like a
very tutorial, yeah.
And then you realize as you start to insert yourself into the lifestyle of the graffiti artist that the world is kind of interesting. Like, for example, he has a rival graffiti gang, and I love the description of these guys. They're all like trust fund kids that are rebelling against their parents. That's what he said anyway. They all wear colors based on the local basketball team.
Yeah.
And so the first thing they do is beat the crap out of you. And it's
deservedly so.
Right. Oh, yeah, you're asking. Well, yeah, because you're tagging over their stuff, and they're a big gang. You're also beating the crap out of their guys. And then eventually, you've got sort of a guardian angel who kind of like he's another graffiti guy who's like keeping an eye on you. And then you also will meet, now I looked this up, you meet famous graffiti guys in the game. Like, so did you know there are famous graffiti guys?
Yeah.
So here are some of the guys you meet. Cope 2, right? Futura, which I did meet him in the game, and Scene are in the game. The art. Now, I've never heard of these guys, but I'm not deep into the graffiti underworld. But like, he could actually basically get them to like autograph his book. And when I met Future, he gave me some tips. And the best part, he goes, next time you see me, just call me Larry. I guess he doesn't want to be walking around and be like, "Hey, Future," because he also at the end of the conversation he goes, "Thanks, Future." And I'm sure when he said Future, I was like, "No, just call me Larry. Don't call me Future." So those are the three elements of the game. How well do they work? Well, The fighting element is the controls in this game are just wacky to me. You're using the keyboard. I was using the keyboard, the joystick, and the mouse. Were you? Is that the way you did it? It's like hit E. It's like, why am I hitting E to pick this up? I've got 30 buttons here. What about? And when it came time to try to actually write my name on something, I was like, what am I doing? And I was like, is it the mouse? And it was. I was like, what's happening? So you have to use all your controllers, everything at your disposal to play this game. The fighting I would call brutal. If you get 2 guys on you, or even 3, you're in deep trouble. There's a lot of running, scampering. They give Train a lot of cool moves, and you can earn more moves as you go through the game. But like he's got some pretty good dodges and stuff. But I mean, it's still you get ganged up on and they beat the tar out of you. There's also weapons in the game. There's also stuff like yanking guys off ledges. Couldn't believe that. You just grab a guy, just hurl him to his death. Oh, yeah. Train's a killer.
Absolute murder.
Yeah, he will kill you. By the way, that happens to you, too. Sometimes when you try, this happened to me a bunch of times when I'd try to grab a sucker, I'd screw up and just fall to my death. That happened to me a bunch of times. There's a lot of times you can fall to your death. Then you got to start the chapter over. That's pretty irritating. The tagging it sort of breaks up the fun to me because it takes so long. And the thing is, there's an art to the tagging because if you do it wrong, you make your tag look like crap because when you're physically sort of moving the spray can. If you stay in a spot too long, you'll put a big blotch on it.
Yeah.
You ever have that happen?
Drips.
And then you get like points deducted for sucking, basically. There's also, I mean, it's the stuff you would expect in a game where you're running around a fight. There's like energy drinks and, like I said, weapons and obstacles. You could throw guys into walls and into, crap like that, cages and stuff. The story was interesting. The game has a ton of like big stars in it. So get this, Brent. Adam West is in it.
Yep.
Right. Sean Puffy Combs is in there. Rosario Dawson's in there. My favorite, Eddie Murphy's brother, Charlie Murphy. He's in there. He plays the big fat guy you pummel in that one scene.
Yep.
George Hamilton's the mayor. That in itself is great. Remember George Hamilton? So you get a pretty good, and there's more than that. I saw that like Andy Dick is in. There's a ton of people in there. So it's quite the ensemble cast. The story. This came out a long time ago. If this came out now, I would be like, man, this is some hokey stuff. It's sort of like. It's like Urban Rap Legend 4, basically. It's just like as generic as they come. But I mean, for the time, this was probably fairly cutting edge, and it's not a story you would have seen that often in a video game. You know what I mean? Seriously, the gang elements and stuff, and certainly not the elements of the underworld art scene and stuff. And there's a lot of government. As you get into this game, and I watched some footage well past where I got. There's a lot of like messaging about the government and there's even at the very beginning there's a scene where you're walking the wrong way against traffic, like 1 million people, they're all dressed the same and you're the only guy and you're walking it's so visually dopey. You're just like, man, they weren't the least bit subtle about the messaging here, like this guy's he's fighting the man or whatever. What did you think before we get into the game overall? What did you think about the fighting and the elements of tagging? What did you think about the controls? What did you think about all this stuff?
It's unfortunate that they tried to be so complex with the controls when it was 100% unnecessary. Now, I played this with a controller.
Yes.
This was made to be played with a keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, I played with both. I did both. You have to play it with both.
Well, no, you can play it all keyboard and mouse.
Oh, yeah, but if you're using the controller, you have to use the keyboard
and mouse. There
are
occasionally that you... Well, I'm when you just start up the game, first of all, I had some issues getting this to run.
Oh, yeah?
But I did get it to run.
Off Steam, too.
Yeah.
Because I found the copy.
Yeah, well, I purchased mine.
Yeah.
And it had some issues getting started, but I got them figured out. And I'm not going to blame the game for that. The game's old. It's not made for modern hardware.
It works, though.
Now, that said, the controls for this are sinfully bad. And they actually hurt the gameplay in such a way of the over complexity of the controls make the game not fun.
Yeah, I mean, yes, and this I agree with you. Because the game itself, the look of the game, the amount of moves you get, the finding moves, getting more things to use on the walls. You can even, like, some point, I didn't get to do this, but you can, like, light up a paint can and blow torch a sucker with it. You can whack guys with a paint can. There's a lot of stuff you can do, but they made the controls stupid, real stupid. And it was needlessly stupid. Like, I wonder why they did it.
I wonder if the console ports of this, that wouldn't have been an issue.
Yeah. And I didn't, we both played on Windows, so I wouldn't know that.
So let's take a step past that. What do I think of the concept? You play as Train. Train is incredibly unlikable.
Yeah.
Maybe he finds his purpose past the point I got in the game, and I got several levels into it.
Oh yeah. They go pretty quick once you figure it out.
And the entire time, and he is set up to be a troubled youth.
Yeah.
The very first scene is him walking away from his mama, and the mama being like, "Listen."
Typical mom. She's got her hair in curlers. She's in like a nightgown.
Well, actually, I think it's his grandmother.
Yeah.
But it's her saying, "Listen, you leave, it's over. Don't come back." And I get that the beginning part of the game, I think you're supposed to not like the guy, right? But he is just one step above kicking puppies annoying. Yeah. Or not annoying, but unlikable.
Yeah.
And that's tough. That's tough. When you start a character that far in the hole and you're the one playing them, at least for me, I never got to the point where I was rooting for him. I watched the game beginning to end. I watched the entire game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wow.
I played.
It's long, like 9 hours.
Well, no. I watched the speed run. And the plot takes him from punk to political activist, and you can see in the story where he starts to turn around. But he starts so far in the hole that it's hard to want him to get better because he's just a lost cause. The tagging aspect, I thought was fun. I thought was very entertaining. I liked it that it was simple enough that I never failed it, but it was complex enough that it wasn't just going up, hitting a button, and it does it all automatically. Yeah. It had some element of skill, no matter how small.
It's sort of like lock picking in a game, where you just kind of go up, it's a little thing, it takes a minute or two.
Sort of.
Yeah.
So that's the story. That's the tagging. The fighting, it's alright.
It could have been okay.
It was alright.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with it.
I mean, the control of the fighting's not...
Well, the controls are a problem from beginning to end.
Yeah. No, I thought the fighting was... I mean, what do you think about having multiple people on your back, though?
I never had problems.
Oh, that really?
Yeah,
I mean, you need to do a lot. I learned early that defensive role, you get used to using that a lot. I used it tons.
I grabbed everybody.
Oh, I had trouble grabbing because it also did something else, and it was driving me nuts.
Yeah, I grabbed everybody, and you can grab them, three combo attack, puts them on the ground. You can kick them 3 times from there. That's over 3/4 of their life gone.
Yeah,
instantly.
Yeah, that's a good angle.
I really had no problem with that part of it. Now, Aaron,
wouldn't it have been great? I know where you're going. I'm getting there. Don't worry. But wouldn't it have been great if to have a game sort of like this with the Def Jam engine, where you could have taken those guys with all their cool moves out and actually met those guys on the streets and stuff? That's like the ultimate game. Def Jam preceded this game by a couple years.
No, so, I don't think that would have been a good fit at all.
I think it would have been awesome.
The other issue I had, this would have been exponentially more fun if I could make my own tags.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't like very many of his either. So
well, I mean, I get it. They're trying to do a story aspect. But I would have rather have done my own thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the rest of it's basically like, oh, this graffiti artist is wrecking the city, that crap, plus the other stuff. It's the usual stuff you expect.
You get blamed for a murder you didn't actually commit.
Yeah.
Then you've got to show that the mayor's the guy that actually murdered the guy. And blah, blah,
So
blah.
you're probably asking yourself, as Mitch Yama in the chat asked, why did a game like this get banned and where? Well, I'm leading up to it. So there are many reasons to ban a game. You could, like for this game even, you could ban it because it's anti-establishment. You could ban it because Train indiscriminately kills hordes of people. Some people are just standing there, just yanks to their death, you know. But there's only one place on Earth where you can get it, where it can get banned because it promotes and instructs you on how and where to tag stuff with your spray paint. Your anti-graffiti.
Yeah.
And that was our good friends down in Australia.
Yeah.
I've got a clip here, straight out of the newspaper. And I'm just going to read a little clip, a little tidbit here, but if I may. The Office of Film and Literature Classification Review Board in Australia has refused to classify Marc Eckō's Getting Up Caught Under Pressure. The computer game premise is a future world where freedom is expressed is suppressed by a tyrannical city government, and to win the game, the player has to express his message through graffiti. The decision was made by 5 members who voted 3-5 against the classification of the game. Miss Maureen Shelley, the convener, broke the deadlock on the grounds that it encourages crime. The game cannot be sold, demonstrated, hired, or imported without a classification. Australia is the only country to ban the game so far. As far as I can tell, it was the only one that it was banned in. Now, here's the funny thing. Here are other games to be banned in Australia include Postal. We mentioned that one. BMX XXX. Combat Task Force. Those all got banned. Atari was not happy about the banning, especially since Jet Grind Radio was allowed to be there, which is the exact same sort of affair.
Yeah.
And they also had games involving murders, street racing, and whatnot that were released in the same month. So Miss Maureen Shelley, when questioned on her decision, said she didn't need proof that the video games encourage crimes, only that she thought they could. So there you go. This was banned in Australia because they said it's, and what I like, it's one thing if you, because it does sort of promote graffiti, but the fact that it shows you how to perform graffiti and where to do it, I thought that was particularly amusing. I can see a bunch of Australian kids shimmying over drain pipes and all this other crap to get up there to get the thing.
Man, if I could play this and paint as well as he does, I'd play it all the time.
The reviews on this game were interesting. They ranged from GameSpot gave this an 84. A lot of places really thought it was interesting. They thought the engine was good. They thought the tagging was good. And they really enjoyed the artistic aspects of it. But the places that didn't like it, like 1UP, IGN, they just thought the engine was clunky. They didn't like the play mechanics. And they didn't like the controls, newsflash. So it's pretty much sort of like us. If you were to want to buy this thing, it's funny, I couldn't find any box copies of the Windows version anywhere. So I don't know what that means. I mean, none had been sold and none were for sale. But I did find the Xbox version, which I do have. I could have played it on there. I didn't think about it. It's $5 to $10. There's a limited edition that was released that's $25. And then the PS2 version, you will pay $25 American dollars to play this bad boy. So Marc Eckō getting up. We didn't get any reviews this week for anything. I kind of didn't figure we would. Just a couple oddball games. BRENT you can't really play unless you really get into it.
What? You can load it up right now, Steam for free.
Before we move on, BRENT, any final thoughts on the banning stuff for reasons like this? I mean, and also, is this something that's gone now? Are we going to see more of this going forward?
I hate censorship.
Right.
Hate it.
Right.
Hate it, hate it, hate it.
Yeah.
I don't think you should ever censor anything unless it is actively harmful to someone else, like promoting violence.
Yeah.
That said, and these two games should have never been banned.
No. We've played much worse.
They should have never been banned.
Or if you're going to ban them, they should ban them for the right reasons, not the dumb reasons.
I think anything that can be considered a work of literature or a work of art is an expression of the artist or company, if you will, and should never be censored in any way. Now, if you want to restrict who can buy it, say stop it from being sold to children or teens, I don't have a problem with that. But I don't think we should ever live in a world that says you can't buy this because I don't want you to.
Well, listen, we don't live in a world like that usually, but some people don't have a choice. It is what it is, Brent.
You know where you have all the choices you ever need, Aaron?
Is it the sweet, sweet land of Canada?
It is, with Retro Rewind.
Bam. No kidding. Why? What can you do at Retro Rewind, Brent?
Aaron, let's say you've got an Amiga, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, man, I think I blew a cap.
Oh,
right?
man.
You open that thing, you got the skills, right?
I do.
You just don't have the parts.
Yeah.
So you look it in there and you find out what you need.
Yeah.
And then you call up Frank at Retro Rewind at retrorewind.ca and you say, Frank, man, I need this part.
Yeah.
Bam, done.
Yeah, you're right.
Mailed,
man.
It's right there. Now let's say you don't have the skills, right? Let's say you haven't been working on your crafting, right? You haven't been clicking those buttons to get that crafting skill up.
I hated that.
You can just say, hey Frank, I'm sending it to you, buddy.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Make it right.
Yeah.
You send it right up there, he's gonna get it fixed for you, he's gonna get it fixed for you fast, and he's gonna ship you back a unit working, ready to go.
Yeah.
It's your Commodores, it's your Tandys.
Yeah.
It's your Amigas. It's all good to go.
Yeah. You know, along those lines, Frank will also sell you the finest in parts in terms of flashcards.
Yes.
I just talked to a fellow last night in chat. He'd spent a fortune getting a Kung Fu Flash imported from the UK down to New Zealand. I said, oh, you poor guy. Not only could you have gotten it cheaper if you went to retrorewind.ca, but I guarantee you it's probably a lot cheaper to ship internationally from Canada than it is for the UK these days. Canada is a nice, friendly place. They'll set you up with some good shipping. And Frank, by the way, gets it done quick. He's got decades of experience. He knows his craft.
Absolutely.
retrorewind.ca. We love them. What do we got this week, Brent, wheel-wise?
Aaron, for the wheel, we have added on a little thing that we like to call team fighting.
Team fighting. I love that. I would love to get that because I love fighting. That's why I hang out with you so much, to fight. There it is. Around she goes. A mighty spin from the Brent. And the winner is...
Oh, boy.
What was it?
Oh, boy.
All right.
Video games of South Africa. What? Video games of South Africa.
Who in God's name put that up there?
The Brent.
That's one of yours? You knucklehead. South Africa.
Absolutely.
I didn't know. I can't name a single game that came from South Africa.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Well, that should be interesting.
Yes. This is a piece you're going to want to come back for.
Something tells me you've got a ringer and you've hung me out to dry. That's what I think's probably happened. Yeah,
absolutely not.
Oh, yeah, you'd never lie. So, thanks for tuning in, everybody, in the Discord, in the chat room, on Twitch. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. You can catch us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m., The Brent. Hey, we want to make a quick announcement. By the time you see the show, we film Amigos every Friday night at 5 p.m., but this week's a special Amigos because Boat has that crazy Boat, he's done packed up and went off to Ireland. And so me and you are going to be the Amigos this week. Bam! And we're going to do a double trouble. It's going to be Amigos and ARG Presents back-to-back at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this coming Friday. That's going to be a lot of fun, Brent, because when the cat's away, the mice will play, if you know what I mean. Me and Brent always get into trouble when Boat's out of town because we got to make up for the fact that he gets to go to Ireland and we're stuck here. Like a couple weeks.
We should go up to the pub.
Or just film it from the pub,
Irish
get
pub.
liquored up. Yeah, that's the way you do it. So please join us Friday as we look at a Fool's Errand, I believe is the game we're playing on Amigos. Then we're going to look at these two South Africans. That means we have to get our games in quick this week. We don't have much time. Should be a lot of fun. Any final parting thoughts, Brent, before we take this thing to the house?
Nope.
That's it. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you Friday. Enjoy your week. Adios.
Thanks for joining us today. We really hope you enjoyed the show. A special thank you to Devin Styles for our vector style graphics and PartBit for our amazing music. Would you like to help keep ARG spinning? You can do so at patreon.com/ARG Presents, just like these fine folks. Drarlet 17, Laurent Garut, Templar Mar, Z9K9, Jerry Dennington,
Chris Munch,
Dykeman, Retroology, Air Shack, Texas Foosballer, Sundown, O-Wrong, Super Tech Boy, David Terrence, Mr. B, Roushi, Graham, W. Vetke, Dave, Velociraptor, Bernhardt Lucas, Steve Rasmussen, Anthony Jarvis, Bitterblitter, Pajako 6502, Kevin Bean, Andy Jones, Andy Craig, Rob Black O'Hara, Jason Warnes, Mitsuyama, Chris Foles, Frodo Idell, the
Richard Smith,
Norris, Terry Howard, Olaf Hope, and Rolo. They all have access to our Discord channel, their name called out in the credits, and visualized in the ending scene. Have an idea for a wheel piece? You can send it to us at argpresents@mail.com.